Every night at sunset, the old house on Willow Hill held its breath, because that was the moment the knocking began. Evan was only 9, but he lived in the silent house all by himself. After his parents were gone, the rooms felt hollow, as if every laugh and warm moment had been sealed away. The air always seemed chilly, even in summer. When Evan walked from one room to another, he sometimes felt something brush past him. Nothing he could see, yet something that made the hair on his arms rise. Shadows stretched in strange shapes across the walls, bending and sliding when he wasn't looking directly at them. Still, Evan tried his best to stay brave. He swept the floor. He heated his own meals. He sat by the window during the day and watched the road below, pretending the world outside wasn't too big for him. But once the sky turned orange, he closed every curtain and checked the locks twice. His parents had left him one rule, one he had promised never to break. Never open the door after sunset. He didn't know why the rule mattered so much. His parents never explained it. But the night they disappeared, Evan heard them whispering urgently about keeping him safe before they left and didn't come back. Ever since then, the rule felt like the only thing protecting him. And every night, right after the last bit of sunlight slipped away, the knocking began. Soft at first, like fingertips, then louder like someone pushing harder. Evan would freeze, his breath trapped in his chest. He never dared to move toward the door. He would whisper to himself, "Don't open it. Don't even go near it." When he finally found the courage to peek out the window, the porch was empty. The path was empty. The whole hill was silent. No wind. No footsteps. Nothing alive. But the knocking still came. Sometimes it sounded as if it came from the back door instead. Other nights, from the side window. Once, Evan swore he heard it right behind him, even though he was alone. He tried to tell himself the house was old and creaky. He tried to pretend he wasn't scared. But deep down, he knew something was wrong. Something was coming closer. And each night, the knocking seemed just a little more eager. A little more bold. A little more like whatever waited outside was tired of being ignored. Evan didn't know it yet, but the rule wasn't just to keep him safe. It was to keep something out. The house next door had been empty for years. Evan had grown used to seeing its dusty porch and cracked windows. But that day, the lonely hill suddenly filled with noise. Voices, boxes thumping, laughter, footsteps. Evan pressed his face against his window, surprised to see a family stepping out of the truck like they weren't afraid of the hill at all. A girl with bright eyes and a messy ponytail hopped out first. She looked about Evan's age, maybe a little older. She scanned the hill like she already owned it. Behind her came a taller boy, carrying too many boxes at once and stumbling like he was on some secret mission. Their parents followed, smiling, waving at neighbors who weren't even there. Later that afternoon, while Evan sat on his porch steps trying to act invisible, the girl walked right up to him. "Hi," she said, tilting her head. "I'm Mira. We're the new family. That's my brother, Leo." Leo gave an energetic wave from the yard, almost dropping another box. Evan nodded quietly. He hoped she would go back home. He didn't want anyone close enough to hear the knocks at night. But Mira didn't move. "You live here all alone?" she asked with the kind of honesty only kids had. Evan swallowed and nodded again. She frowned, studying him as if she could see right through the walls he built around himself. "You never come outside after evening," she said softly. "I saw you run inside the moment the sun went down yesterday." Evan stiffened. "I just don't like the dark." "That's not it," Mira replied. "You looked scared. Really scared." He had no answer. His voice felt trapped, like it was caught behind the same fear that kept him silent every night. Over the next few days, Mira and Leo kept showing up. First with cookies, then with board games, then just to say hello. No matter how much Evan tried to stay distant, the hill didn't feel as empty anymore. Then, one strange afternoon, everything shifted. The three of them were playing in Evan's yard when Mira suddenly pointed at his house. "What's that light?" Evan followed her gaze, and his heart stopped. A pale glow flickered behind the small attic window. The attic he never entered. The attic he never even opened. The attic he avoided because something about it felt wrong. "I don't go up there," Evan whispered. "Ever." "But someone's up there," Leo said, gripping the fence. "Or something." Evan felt cold all the way to his toes. The house was supposed to be empty. Completely empty. If there was a light, then who had turned it on? Mira stepped closer to him. Evan, this isn't just your problem anymore. We want to help. We're your friends. Friends. The word felt strange. Heavy. Warm. Leo nodded. We'll figure this out together. Evan looked up at the attic window again. The light flickered once more. Quick, like a blink. For the first time since his parents vanished, he didn't feel alone. But somehow, that made everything even scarier. Night came faster than any of them expected. The sky turned purple, then deep blue, and Evan felt the familiar weight settle on his chest. He told Mira and Leo they should go home, but Mira shook her head and crossed her arms as if she had glued herself to the floor. We're staying, she said. You shouldn't have to face whatever this is by yourself. Evan wanted to argue, but the words slipped away when the first cold gust of wind crawled under the door. The house groaned, the same way it always did after sunset. Every shadow stretched long across the floorboards. The air felt thick, like it was waiting. Then the thump came. It wasn't like the soft tapping Evan had heard before. This one was loud. So loud the whole door shivered in its frame. Leo dropped the flashlight he was holding. Mira grabbed Evan's arm, squeezing so hard it almost hurt. A second thump followed, stronger, like something, or someone, was leaning its full weight against the wood. The three kids scrambled behind the living room couch. Evan could feel his heart pounding so fast he thought it might burst. The house fell completely silent, except for the slow, dragging scrape sliding across the porch. It stopped right in front of the door. Mira leaned close to Evan and whispered, "You can't hide forever. Whatever this is, it's not going away. You have to face it." "I can't," Evan whispered back. "My parents told me never to open the door." "Never. But your parents aren't here anymore," Mira said softly. "And you're scared every night. Don't you want to know why?" Leo nodded from behind a chair. "If we open it together, it won't be as scary." Evan's hands shook. The rule had been the only thing he trusted, the only thing standing between him and the unknown. But now the knocking had turned into something bolder, something that wasn't afraid of the door at all. And if his friends were brave enough to stay beside him, he had to try. With trembling steps, Evan stood up. Mira and Leo followed, their eyes wide but determined. The thump didn't come again. The porch was silent. Too silent. Evan reached for the lock. His fingers felt numb. He hesitated, thinking of his parents, of their warning, of their fear. Then he turned the lock and pulled the door open. Cold air rushed in so fast it stung his face. The night outside was empty, the path dark, the hill quiet. No person, no creature, no footsteps. But something was on the ground. A small folded paper lay right at the threshold, as if someone had slipped it under the door while they hid. Evan picked it up with shaking hands and unfolded it. The message was written in his mother's handwriting. "If you are reading this, it means they have found you. You must not stay alone. They have watched you since the night we left. Trust no shadow." Evan's breath hitched. Mira covered her mouth. Leo stepped back, bumping into the wall. His mother had known. His parents had kept a secret, one bigger than the house, bigger than the knocks, bigger than anything he had ever imagined. And whatever had been watching him, it wasn't done yet. Evan could barely breathe as he stared at the message in his hands. His mother's handwriting, the loops, the careful curves, felt like a voice rising from the past. Mira leaned over his shoulder, reading each word with growing worry. Leo shone his flashlight toward the porch, checking the shadows as if expecting something to leap from them. Another cold breeze swept into the house. Evan shut the door quickly, locking it again even though he knew it wouldn't change what was already happening. "We have to find out what she meant," Mira said. "There have to be more clues. Maybe in the house." Evan nodded slowly, his eyes drifting upward to the attic door. The one place he had never dared to go. The one place where the mysterious light had flickered. "I think it's up there," he whispered. The three kids stood at the bottom of the creaking stairs leading to the attic. Dust floated in the flashlight beam. The air smelled old, like forgotten papers and locked memories. Evan swallowed hard, then climbed the steps, each footstep trembling beneath him. When they reached the attic door, Evan hesitated. Mira gently touched his shoulder. "We're right behind you," she said. He turned the knob. It clicked open more easily than he expected, as if it had been waiting. The attic was dim and silent. Boxes lined the walls, untouched for years. In the corner, covered by a dark cloth, sat a sealed wooden chest with metal hinges. A faint glow shimmered from inside, escaping through the tiny gap where the lid didn't quite meet the base. "That must be it," Leo whispered. Evan walked toward the chest, feeling an invisible pull pushing him closer. His hands trembled as he lifted the lid. Inside lay a small, old recorder. Nothing else. Mira handed it to him. "Press play." Evan did. His mother's voice filled the attic. Soft, tired, but full of love. "Evan, sweetheart, if you're listening to this, then we didn't make it back in time." A pause. "We didn't leave you. We were trying to protect you." Evan froze. Mira covered her mouth again. Leo leaned closer, unable to look away. "There is something in that house," his mother continued. "It is not a person. It is not a creature. It is something that watches. Something that moves when you don't. We trapped it long ago, before you were born. But the trap is weakening. The shadows are waking." The attic felt colder with every word. "You were safe while the barrier held," she said, her voice cracking. "But it will fail one day. When it does, you must not face it alone. You must find help. You must keep the light burning." The recorder clicked off. Silence swallowed the room. Evan felt tears slide down his cheeks. His parents hadn't abandoned him. They had been fighting something no one could see. Something still in the house. Mira hugged him tightly. Leo gripped the recorder as if holding a shield. Then the floorboards groaned beneath them. Long, slow, and heavy. The attic light flickered once, twice, then steadied with a weak glow. A shadow drifted across the wooden floor. But nothing in the attic had moved. And no one was standing where the shadow fell.